The Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. I am here because I want to bring a very special project to your attention. It is called Classroom to Capital, and I have some of the folks who are responsible for it right here with me. I have Mr. Chris Stanley.
Hello, hello.
Mr. Tony Stratis.
Hello, everyone.
And John, how do you pronounce the last name?
Schuler.
Schuler. I was going to go with a little different vowel pronunciation there.
That's
Thank
all
you.
good. You're Greek and I'm German, I guess. So
He was going to put
John
the
Schuler.
umlau on the U.
Yes, everything seen through the Motley Crue lens. Thank you for coming on the show, guys. I really want to hear more about this project because it's all about bringing more civics into the lives of the kids in the classroom. So please, who would like to take me through the principles of this project?
Yeah, so Classroom to Capital was started last year by us, and we got really off the ground in March of last year. And we have a crisis of civics on our hands in this country. You know, one side or the other thinks they're the enemy and the destruction of this country. There's no nuance, there's no dialogue, on and on and on, right? Things we all know. What we also combined that with was our students in Youngstown City Schools don't have an opportunity to go, for example, to Washington, D.C., like so many other school districts do, not only around the Valley and our state, but around the country.
Okay, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
Because that is seminal in your middle school education, right?
Absolutely. You know, and for me, I took that for granted, right? That was a huge part of my education. And just for me personally, when I went to D.C., you know, not only did I see myself connected with the past, but I saw that the blessings of liberty were now mine. They were mine, and I had to pass those on to the next generation.
To visit the seats of power.
Absolutely.
And to actually be able to sit there and be awestruck by those buildings.
Yes.
and by the environment that you're in. That history has to, it's basically like walking into the Sistine Chapel. If you're not touched by the Lord, if you're not touched by Abraham Lincoln when you walk into those places.
There's nothing like it, and it changed my life. And, you know, our students don't have that opportunity. So we combine that. And, you know, with our mayoral primary we had in May here in Youngstown, there was a, 18% turnout?
13%.
13% turnout. We don't keep our republic with a 13% turnout.
Right.
Period.
Now, I am all for a voting holiday.
Yeah.
You know, because if you want to give people all the time in the world to get to the polls, I am for that. Because then it kind of gives you no excuse but to engage in the civics process.
Right. So, you know, our students don't have those opportunities. They're missing out on them. And our students don't see themselves as the next leaders of our community, which means who does?
That's right. It's a vacuum of power.
Absolutely. And so we felt that we had to change this. We had to change it, and that's where Classroom to Capital comes into play. We are trying to raise money not only to send our Youngstown City and hopefully more underserved communities. There's a lot of underserved communities, unfortunately, that don't have this opportunity. Not only do we want to send them on a yearly trip to Washington, D.C., but we also want to involve them in the civics process. We want to bring elected officials into the classroom. We want to take trips to City Hall and the water treatment plant and, you know, courtrooms and on and on and on. So that way they can see themselves as part of this process, because I think what happens too often is people see, especially kids, they'll see elected officials as some sort of other class that aren't real people. Remember how weird it was when you saw your teacher at a grocery store when you were a kid?
Very.
Oh, so weird.
You know what I mean? It's like, wait, you're a real person?
Can't be.
Blew my mind.
You drive a car?
Right. Whoa,
This is weird.
You wear pajamas?
Yeah.
Oh my God, right? So I think it's a similar situation. Our mayor is a graduate of Youngstown City Schools.
Very important
Right
actually.
now, you know, and just on and on and on. And so that is our mission. We need to bring civics back as a major educational, not only experience and opportunity, but we need legislation too to make social studies education as important as we've invested in STEM. We spend 1,000 times more we spend 1,000 times per dollar on STEM than we do social studies and civics education. And it's no wonder why we're in the situation we are in today.
It's to overcorrect. Like that's the standard thing that happens, right? When in government is you overcorrect. It's like, okay, we are 2 years behind what we should have been investing in. So instead of doing this 2 years ago. We're going to put 2 years worth of funding into it today.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a shortage at the back end. It's just, that's how
You're
it works.
robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly. So that's sort of how we're viewing this, as a holistic kind of, let's create the appropriate foundation for long-term success, because everyone's having conversations with us like, oh, what do you intend to achieve in the next year? And it's like, well, in the next year we hope to have a conversation with someone that's going to be really, really important in 15 years. And everyone's like,
absolutely,
oh great, what's your ROI on that? And the ROI is like, well, hopefully someone in 15 years is very, very impactful, because and we feel we have influence over that today, which is very, very empowering. And I think people just need to, understand that.
And I think you're able to see that too. Like it's Chris, John, and me working on this on the operational front, but we also have a board of very impactful leaders in our community. Our board
includes a lot of experience.
Yeah, Mayor Tito Brown, Representative Michelle Lepore-Hagan, Judge Joe Schiavone,
Judge Carla Baldwin,
and just these impactful leaders in the community who have overcome their own obstacles to get into public office, have overcome people telling them, hey, wait your turn. The idea that young people are the future yes, that's true, but more so young people are the present, and young leaders need to happen now.
And for me, it's got to be more than just platitudes, because what you see is misconstrued priorities.
Absolutely.
When you have STEM, which is completely important, if you didn't want a liberal arts education, then you just send people for job training to college and not try to broaden their horizons. But that doesn't bring a well-rounded individual into society. So what we see is, because we feel like we're falling behind in math and science, that all our eggs have to be in that basket. And that's not true, because you're leaving school with a void. And that void is how to interact with your society and your community and your government.
Yeah.
And so as you see those go to the wayside, programs like these are invaluable, because this is necessary to essentially learn how to work with one another in our communities.
And to that point, this is so important now, because I think of January 6th. January 6th is going to always stick out to me as one of the biggest threats to our American democracy. People who participated in it, people who look at it and don't understand the severity of what happened, don't realize what that meant to attack the citadel of democracy. And that comes from a lack of civic education. Civic education just isn't about why it's important to go vote, or, hey, I'm going to run for office. It's about understanding what we have, our democratic republic, is something so valuable that no other country has been able to replicate like ours.
You know what I think I saw on that day? I think I saw a lot of people who were under the impression that all options had been exhausted and that they only had one choice left. And in turn, they didn't want to accept the truth. So you have to let them know that you have to try again next time. Yeah. And the same thing goes when the Democrats want to try and get this Build Back Better program through. They said, you know what, if you want to have a liberal agenda, you're going to have to go get some more liberals in office, because you're not going to twist Joe Manchin's arm. It's like, if you want a different reality, you have to manifest it yourself. You cannot just invent it out of whole cloth because you're a sore loser. This is not how it works. You have to play fair. The peaceful transfer of power was finally broken in our nation's history, and I think that is definitely an inflection point where we have to say to ourselves, how truthful are we being with ourselves? And you have these big media conglomerates that are really pushing different narratives, and it's really tough to fight back. So I think that if you want to fight back against all the misinformation that people see on a national level, you have to do it at a very small, granular, local level, and this is the kind of thing that will do that.
Well, and to your point, we are a nonpartisan organization. We're not here trying to create future Democrats or future Republicans. We want the nuance of disagreement to be able come back in this country. We are 350 million people almost in this country. There's no way all of us, all of our ideas and our beliefs are going to fit into 2 political parties. It's impossible. And we have to be able to find a way to compromise and move forward for the greater good. And unless we can do that in a way that makes me understand that maybe we have disagreements, but that doesn't mean I think you're a evil fascist who wants to destroy America, or a socialist communist who can't wait to take all my stuff. We have to come together as Americans. We're all Americans. No political party here has a monopoly on what it means to be an American citizen. And we have to come back together in that sense, and we can build, I was going to say build back better. That was not a pun intended, but so we can build towards a better future together despite our disagreements.
Yeah, I mean, I think January 6th is a motivator for this program simply because we look at it in that same very way, and we just say, look, what we want to take from this is the idea that you as an individual have the ability to manifest change in some capacity, similar to what you're saying. And we just want people to understand that we as specific individuals within small communities have the ability to take charge. And whatever the narrative is, to Chris's point, whoever holds the best position and articulates it super well and can get a following behind it, like that's what we want to inspire. We want to inspire people to recognize, like, you can come up with ideas that aren't ours. Like, well, please do.
And to bring it back around to the students from Youngstown City Schools we're focusing on first, right? We want them to understand that it's not up to somebody else. It's going to be up to them. In just a few short years, this is going to be their world. And, they're again, there's not some weird political class that just rules and makes the rule. Like,
and just comes down from space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
when you're a kid, though, that's how it feels.
That's exactly how it feels. And I saw that with my students. I mean, they couldn't even fathom of themselves being the mayor of Youngstown. It's not on their radar at all.
Okay. So what did they think about you actually being a political candidate and seeing you in that light?
They liked it. They thought it was pretty cool. They, as we got more and more into it, and I kept sort of explaining them on the day-to-day of the campaign, I think it kind of blew their mind. In their defense, it blew my mind too.
Sure.
But it was pretty cool. They realized, oh, I saw you on the news. I saw you doing this and this, and it connected with them a little bit. That's
amazing.
Cool.
They got to go through that process with you.
Yeah, it was
very
pretty cool.
That's a special class.
Yes, it is. Yeah, well, and we appreciate having us on too, because here, as we are coming into the Thanksgiving and the holiday season in December, we really, to do all this program, unfortunately, it takes money. And part of what we will need to do is we're focusing on the Season of Giving campaign, so that way we can raise money to send. Have a goal to send 90 students to Washington, D.C. We've already this year in May we have our so we're going May 24th to 26th. Our group will be presenting a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We have a professional tour guide. We have a hotel security. We're taking 2 charter buses. We've partnered with a tour company called Sun Tours out of Georgia. And they really like our mission too. For each student that's going, they're going to kick back $25 to Classroom to Capital to create the momentum going for future years.
Nice.
And we don't want this to be a one-time thing. We want this experience of going to DC to be a part of the regular curriculum in Youngstown City Schools, and hopefully in other underserved communities here around the Valley.
Well, I would hope that, because this is the season of giving.
This is the season of giving.
If anybody out there has their pocketbooks open for any other nonsense, you better shut it and open it up for these folks, because this is important. All right.
And just so some financials, by the way, so we don't take money for this. So every dollar that we're raising right now is going to go towards sending our kids to DC this May.
We are a state certified 501c3.
Yes, we are. And so for $499, so $500, let's just call it, we can send one student to DC. That covers every single meal, that covers lodging, that covers transportation, that covers a professional tour guide, that covers security, that covers chaperones, everything. That is a hell of a deal.
And it also covers the investment in a young person's future who might be your mayor one day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, think about the difference I can make. So we have a goal of sending 90 students. And so we have to raise this money. And I hate talking about money when you're talking about all these things. We're talking about inspirational and aspirational items, but the fact of the matter is, it takes money to do this. And so we're hoping with the community can help us out here. And again, help us sponsor some students, whether that can be $10, whether that can be $500. We would absolutely love it. And again, not going to us. This is going to send a student to Washington, D.C. this May.
And I mean, and the reason why we got started doing this is because we know this isn't for the immediate result. There's always the create the future you wish to live in. This is the future we want to live in. We want to live in a future where there are young people caring about the decisions that impact their daily lives.
Informed and engaged.
Informed and engaged.
That's a great way to put it, informed and engaged.
And by investing in these students, you're investing in the future. We don't know which one of these students might be the next job creator that brings back Youngstown.
Oh, this is going to touch multiple. I mean, if you're obviously going to have a knucklehead in the back who's doing whatever, because that was me.
That was me.
Yeah. All right. So, but we made up for it in due time. Right. I mean, I left the Air and Space Museum and I got reamed out at Planet Hollywood for going and buying some T-shirts off of a gyro vendor.
I haven't talked to Mr. Dukes in a while, but Mr. Dukes, I'm sorry.
We know you're listening, Mr. Dukes.
Kenneth Reel, the legend. I know you're up there in heaven, my man. And you're talking about Mr. Don't Give Up the Sip. What was his name?
Are you a Canfield grad?
Yeah.
What year?
2000.
Oh man, me too. I had Mr. Reel as well. 2005. I graduated.
Legend, right?
Oh, best.
No one better.
I had a son too for algebra. Algebra 2.
I did as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, like, these type of people are so influential in your educational upbringing, and luckily he was able to come with me on this seminal trip and really let me know how important it was.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you're going to have a lot of kids there that are going to come away awestruck and really want to start engaging with government in general, or at least being a little bit more inquisitive about the wheels of power that are going on all around them.
Listen, let's be honest. If the only thing we are successful in is creating responsible, informed citizens, then we have succeeded.
Agreed.
And too many people on all sides of the issues aren't informed. They react off emotion and have no context for it. And again, whatever side of the issue you're on, be informed, make your decision, make it reasonable. And if that's what we achieve, mission accomplished.
Sure. Mission accomplished. And I would like to add, be respectful.
Absolutely.
Whenever possible.
Right.
Yeah. There's a way to communicate with one another.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna filter that into the curriculum too.
Yeah.
The deets. What's your contact info? You got a website?
Yeah.
Yes, Classroom to Capital, Classroom with the number 2 and capital CAPTIOL.org.
Missed an I in there, but
Canfield graduate.
Like I said, Canfield graduate. CAPTTTTOL. Chris, why don't you read it?
Yes, classroom2capital.org. So classroom, the number 2, capital CAPITOL.org. We tried to make it as complicated as possible. Yes. So
you jazzed it up with the number in there. And that throws everybody for
that is to show everyone how cool and hip we are.
Very hip. I didn't see a Z.
No, we're working that.
The reason we actually did that is because when we filed the paperwork, the TO was already taken.
Somebody already took it.
So we went with the 2.
Yeah.
That's how
that's all we had left.
Yeah.
No worries.
But all our social channels / that same nomenclature that Chris just read off.
Yep.
Classroom number 2 capital.
And we will have a spot on our website where you can just donate directly right on our website.
That's awesome. And when you were saying you don't want it just to be a one-year thing, of course not. This is going to be embedded in the curriculum, I would hope, for the long term, because this is not something that needs to ever stop. We have to always keep learning, and we have to always keep understanding that, despite our political differences, we're always going to have to still live amongst one another. Yep. So we have to go to where the problems can be solved, and that is through government. And to understand our government is the way that we can actually get those problems solved the best.
Absolutely.
Cool, guys.
Completely agree. And I think just to round it out, this came on the heels of Chris, you running for office, but we've had an immediate reception from the community at large, and it's been really, really well received. And again, this is a great way to make potential future impact for some folks. that you might not know today, but you will know tomorrow. And our goal is to raise $10,000. So we've got 6 weeks to do that. So please help us out.
And again, those people are Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
From both sides of the aisle. We are a nonpartisan organization, and I have been encouraged by the local Republicans and Democrats I've talked to. Both sides have been excited about this and agree with it. And to me, that has been just so encouraging.
Yep. Completely agree.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for being on.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you guys just tremendous success with this project, because I couldn't be more happy about it. Thank you guys for starting it.
Thank you.
And I want to see those dollars roll in. So
Thank
if you got one of those big fish out there that you know, put this bug in their ear and let them know that there's a great cause out there that they would love to have their funds. Bring some kids to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Ron.
So much.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Take care.